What's up, you guys? My name is Grady. I listen to country music on this channel, along with whatever else I want to. And today, I'm talking about an album that maybe falls somewhere in between those two things. Is it country music? Yeah, to some. Is it not country music? Yeah, to some. But I'm going to be talking about it regardless. Full disclosure, I've recorded this video already, and then I went to edit it, and it had no audio. So I'm sitting back down again, like an hour after I recorded the first one, and making it a second time because I want to have this conversation. I genuinely do. So as you know, we're talking about Kane Brown's Experiment today, and I have a feeling like half the people that watch this channel are like going to be annoyed and think I shouldn't talk about Kane Brown, and half the people that watch this channel are going to think that, like, thank goodness he's finally talking about the Kane Brown album. And Kane Brown is a polarizing figure. I understand that. But two things. One, it's my channel. I can do whatever I want. And two, Kane Brown, for all of his, flirtations with pop and with R&B, he's marketed as a country star. He has the #1 single on the country chart. He has the #1 album on the country chart and the all-genre chart. He is in every way seen as a country star, except by the CMAs, who didn't nominate him for anything. And so, we would be looking pretty stupid and blind just because I like Cody Jinks, just because I like Whitey Morgan, if we didn't talk about Kane Brown. I get that he's a divisive character, but we got to talk about who's kind of the big star of the genre at the moment right now. So we're going to Kane Brown. He's been on the scene now for about 3 years. He sort of came up making covers and posting them on social media, and they were pretty traditional. You would hear him sing, "I don't know how you do what you do.
3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway.
Could you paint me a Birmingham? Make it look just the way I planned."
And he started to get this reputation as this super old school, deep voiced, new country star. Then as he's come onto the scene, he's developed an entirely different identity very quickly as this sort of Drake influenced pop destroyer of country.
Baby, take a chance, so you'll never ever know. I got money in my hands that I really like the blood slap.
And a ton of people hate Kane Brown. And the look of him is exotic because he's not white. He's biracial, and he's all tatted up and had his eyebrow piercing, and so there's this element of danger or just different that is part of what music runs on. Any smart label person wants to provoke and wants things to feel sexy and different and always, get girls in love with their artist in that way. And I think they've done that very effectively with Kane Brown. And so he's in this interesting spot where there's some people that view him as traditional. There's other people that view him as the destroyer of country music at the moment. And then I think most of the people in the middle are women that are just very attracted to him and just kind of blindly love him. And that's fine. That's a lot of artists. So that's all just kind of preamble for where I see kind of Kane Brown at this moment. In the last year, his career has really exploded. He's had a few singles, and he had a couple EPs, and then his song What Ifs with Lauren Elena became kind of his first huge hit, and it is his biggest hit.
What if I was made for you and you were made for me?
I think it's really blustering and not especially nice to listen to, but people love that song. And him and Lauren Elena actually go way back and were high school classmates. He followed that up with Heaven. He followed that up with Lose It. Both of those have been really huge hits for him. And now, he's kind of in his moment. I would say Kane Brown is kind of the it boy of country in the same way that, Sam Hunt was 2 years ago. This sort of genre-bending, provocative lightning rod for controversy, but also extremely popular. So all that brings us to Experiment, which is really Kane Brown. I mean, this album has a beautiful cover. That's going to be the first thing I say about this album. It feels like he has arrived. He is a star. It went #1 on the all genre Billboard 200, and it's kind of here he is. He is one of the big A-list country stars now. Him and Luke Combs are the two big new ones, and they kind of represent different poles of where country music is. The genre is certainly in a massive identity crisis, and that is really captured well on Kane Brown's Experiment, to be honest with you. Let's talk about the sound of this album first. I would say that it has some very canny and sort of cunning country flourishes. Like, they know how to add like a bending steel guitar sound and then just go right into a pop beat. All throughout this album, they do it a lot. I'd say it's extremely pop and R&B influenced. There is like a never-ending amount of snap tracks every 2 beats all through the album. And it gets infuriating to me. I mean, I'm serious, like every single song.
Kane Brown on the sign with a line out the door. We'll be walking down the boardwalk, watching them jaws drop.
Half the album has this snap track going all through it. And what that serves to do is really put your ear on the percussion. And it's meant to get you moving. Is moving bad? No. But it's not really inviting you to like think about the songs. It's also just feels so monotonous after a while. Just these kind of like sad, rejected, like late Backstreet Boys or like Charlie Puth kind of beats that like are even bland on pop radio. They'd be on like an adult contemporary station. And here they are all through this album, country music in the same vein as like Meant to Be, and in the same vein is what I really think they're emulating, Justin Bieber's Love Yourself. Just can't get enough of these snap tracks, and it makes listening, I think, sometimes a very monotonous experience, and certainly one that takes you out of kind of the country mindset. There's no waltzes here, there's not swing here, and so this album does feel way more heavily pop and R&B influenced than it does country influenced. That said, that's not that different from most albums right now. That's not very different from Thomas Rhett. That's not very different from Dustin Lynch. That's not different from this new Jimmy Allen album. That's not different from the new Carrie Underwood album. And I think Kane Brown seems to take like an unfair amount of criticism for that. Now, there's a lot of people that say, oh, that's because he's half black. And I just don't really agree with that. I don't think that Kane Brown is getting... I'm sure there is some, like, you know, bozos in the world that are attacking him in a racist way, but for the most part, I think, like, he's just really famous, and the bigger the platform, the bigger the target. And his sound really is really poppy, and it's either stretching the genre or breaking it. So I just want to, like, say that. I don't really think this is the arguments against him are racist ones. This is just a freaking poppy album. So that's the sound. There's a few country moments on it, but for the most part, it's as pop as all these Nashville albums right now. Things that I really liked on this album. There's a few songs that I think really stand out. The opener, Baby Come Back to Me, is this like deep, sort of swampy rocker. It's a really cool start to the album, and he's begging this girl to come back. And that's like, I think the sound of that is kind of revisited again on track 5, which is called Short Skirt Weather. This song rules. It is like a really fun groove, definitely the countryest moment on this album. And it would seem pretty chauvinistic and gross if it was him saying like, oh, all these girls are going to be in short skirts now that it's hot outside. But really, this is more like him fawning over one woman in particular, his baby, and she's going to be in a short skirt. And I think that little tweak actually serves to make the song feel way less gross. That song is actually a good example to kind of mention how obvious a lot of the songwriting on this record is. Literally, this is a verse. I'm just choosing it at random. We'll be walking down the boardwalk, watching them jaws drop. Ain't nobody looking at me. They're too busy staring at what she ain't wearing. Can you blame her? It's 100 degrees. This is not an album if you are like a songwriting fan, if you like clever wordplay, if you like puns, or kind of the way Casey Musgraves will have like double entendres, or the way that people will have like shades and nuance. All the writing on this record is super, super obvious. And I think that's like part of what Kane Brown does. He uses like really accessible concepts like I love you, or like you're hot, and uses really kind of like short, simple words to describe them, and then just kind of like does his thing and is, you know, hot on stage, and people go crazy for him. And so that's kind of the method to it. The caveat to that is that I do think Kane Brown has improved tremendously as a singer. He used to have this like horrible, like nasal kind of monotone, like Drake robot voice that, you know, on a song like Thunder in the Rain, that just sounded awful.
Your fire, I'm lightning, we're burning at the core.
But I can tell he has been training more as a singer, and his live performances are way more melodic. And a lot of the melodies that he's now using aren't this kind of repeated thing.
The way you light up any room, girl, you're what this world should be.
Where it's just the same note over and over again. They're a lot more flowing, and I think he sounds a lot better on this record. Other things I really liked on here are Homesick. I did a whole reaction to that. I really think that is the smash of this album. It's a little derivative and down the middle, but it's a really sweet lyric. And then I think My Where I Come From, that's a pretty pandering song about, you know, where I come from. There's people have tattoos, and they stand for the flag, and it's kind of all those stereotypes of what country music's about. But it's so removed from all of the little like synthesizers and all of the snap tracks and all of the overbearing pop production, and it actually feels kind of rootsy. It's sort of just like generic country song inserted in this like pop album, and it is kind of an effective strategy for making it really feel like organic, and that's so nice to hear like real drums and real instruments, and it's just a pretty song. Now the other kind of like, so those are the songs I really like. There's a whole kind of like middle tier that I don't have much feelings about. That's songs like One Night Only, Work, Live Forever, and they're just kind of, like I said, the main through line is just these are like adoring love songs, and like, babe, like we're gonna make it work. We're gonna live forever. We're gonna spend this weekend. Oh, that's a different song. Weekend is its own kind of like love song. It's just this like sex jam that's trying to be Earned It by The Weeknd, or it's trying to be that Dylan Scott has this like horrible live thing that he does where he like gyrates on a microphone on the song Anniversary. I hope this is not the new trend, these like weird R&B funk sex jams in the middle of these country records, but maybe that's what it is. That's another song, Weekend. The most kind of like middle of the road of all of these songs, of all songs maybe ever, is the song Good As You, which is, I imagine, going to be the hit single that's either released that's going to be released with Homesick from this record. It's produced by Shy Carter, who is a pop producer that's worked with Jason Derulo and Meghan Trainor and Charlie Puth, who I mentioned earlier, and it just feels like a bad version of Bruno Mars' The Lazy Song. It's like a really just simple lyric where like, I'll never be as good as you, and it's just a straight up pop track. It's fine. It's just so inconsequential. It makes me sad if like people are just going to start coming over to country music because country fans for whatever reason have grown fond of like rejected 2006 pop beats that just have like a guitar lightly playing and a snap track every 2 beats, and that's it, you know? We can do better, country. We have fiddles, we have mandolins, we have banjos, even if everyone's trying to pretend that they don't exist, which is infuriating. So that kind of love song genre, those are like my middle tier. I think they're really, really forgettable. In my bottom tier are just songs that I think are just bad, and The Weeknd would probably fall more into that one. The most egregiously bad song on this record to me is Lost in the Middle of Nowhere.
Lost in the middle of nowhere.
I will say it has like a trap beat, which is like kind of refreshing after all the monotony of some of the other beats, although even this has a snap track. It is co-written with Lauren Lena, so I wonder if this was supposed to be a duet between them, but the label was like, no, let's get this pop star Becky G on there. So it's kind of got this Latin influence, and it's just too much happening. It's just loud, and it ends the album on this like just weird, useless note that doesn't feel like It's summing up the album. It just like really throws off the whole tone of the album. And of course, this is what Spotify is pushing on their hot country playlist, because Spotify playlists hate country music. So that's like the most egregious song on the record. I also think there's like this one song, It Ain't You, It's Me, that's just ugly. It's like a mix of Nickelback and Backstreet Boys, and it's just sort of a thudding, loud song that isn't very appealing to listen to. So this album's just kind of weird. It's sort of a mishmash. There's kind of a through line. There's one song in particular, though, that stands out like a sore thumb. That's American Bad Dream. This song's interesting. It's gotten a lot of press because it's dealing with police brutality, with school shootings, and a lot of people say it's the emotional center of the album, and I'm like, what? No, I don't agree with that at all. I feel like you got to really search to find that in there. But I don't think it's a bad song at all. I think Kane is just simply saying, like, I feel pretty apathetic to all this bad stuff happening in America because it just keeps happening. Now, it's not really very memorable of a melody, and it's not very memorable because it's not, like, angry or sad enough. It's just kind of, like, disaffected and frustrated, which I think is actually really relatable. I think that's how a lot of people feel, and at the same time, it's kind of the weakness of the song. It doesn't, like, push hard enough. So that's, like, pretty much all I have to say on this record. I do think Kane seems to be improving as a vocalist. I think the lyrics are just way overly simple. You know, there's another song on here called Work where it just says, if we're gonna be forever, it's gonna be just us. If we're gonna ride together, turn 2 to 1. Turn 2 to 1. Like, they're just really, really sort of pat contained, simple sort of mantras that he just says, and I think it makes it really uninteresting to listen to. So there's a few songs on here that I really like. There's some country moments. There's a lot of like weird pop moments with Weekend and Lost in the Middle of Nowhere, and then just the percussiveness of it. And altogether, I just think it's a pretty forgettable album, although it seems to be the album that's turning him into a star. So I would give this a 4.3 out of 10. There's some things that I like on it. I hope Short Skirt Weather gets released as a single. I hope Homesick gets released as a single. I think they'd be two of the better country songs on country radio. But I know that Good As You is going to be released as a single. And a little note on that, I don't like this trend of country stars putting their weddings in their music videos. That's just a little thing, but Scotty McCreery did that on This Is It. That's playing a dangerous game, guys. I hope those marriages work out, and now you haven't, taken one of your biggest hits and forever made it so personal to all of your fans. That's just a little thing I'm saying. Another thing I'm saying is that a lot of you guys know I have a beard oil company. It's called Stash Grooming Co. I have a new scent that we launched for the Cyber Weekend called Citrus Mint. It is so nice and it smells so good. I'm putting up a coupon right now if you guys still have some shopping to do ahead of Christmas. If you want to get this as a gift, we have our classic barbershop scent. We have Citrus Mint. If you type in YouTube, 50% off on these. So each bottle will be $9. I will absolutely have it to you by Christmas, only in the States. But check that out. Leave a comment on this video if you have thoughts on the Kane Brown album. And don't hate. Just have a good conversation. I truly am a good listener. So even if you love Kane Brown and think I'm being a hater, I'm not. And if I seem negative, I'm just tired because I recorded this video already, okay? That's all I got to say, y'all. Have a good one. Okay, bye.